I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace.
And we're the Disruptors.
Hey, welcome to the show, Bill.
Oh, it's good to see you. And I see we have, oh my God, no. It's the producer. He's back again. Are we getting our pink slips? Is that what's going on?
You wish you got your pink slips.
Well, welcome, Chris.
Well, thank you.
We're glad to have you on the show.
Well, I'm glad to be on the show.
That's good, because we couldn't find a replacement for you during this show.
It's finally cooling off here in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, we can't breathe because of all the Canadian smoke, but...
That's right.
It feels like Canada is burning up.
Well,
is there going to be anything left?
Not much.
I think that's why our heat has been as intense as it's been. We're just getting the heat from the fires.
Oh, well, I'll be glad when that's all gone.
I will be too. So what are we talking about today?
Well, Chris said he had some things that he wanted to bring to the table.
We're going to allow him to speak on the show?
Well, we will today.
Okay.
You want your check?
Not yet. Yeah, we'll just
go. You want your check?
We'll move on with the program at this time. Yes.
Well, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
So I've been going through some of the questions that our listeners have been sending, and I came across an interesting question. They're asking about their intake process because they don't seem to really have a good intake process.
Well, I love intake.
Oh, so do I.
I love the intake process.
With salad dressing, and I have a great big bowl.
We're not talking about your consumption.
Oh.
We're talking about intake with clients.
Oh, intake with clients. Okay, well, okay.
All of that tasty, delicious process.
That's the problem. When you put the salad together, it's nice to have all those tasty ingredients.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to have you redo your intake, Mr. Lee.
Sounds wonderful. So talk to us a little bit, Candace, about intake and how we should be doing it the right way.
Well, first of all, I think that you need to really get clear as to what you need the intake process to do. If you don't know, if it's just name, address, phone number, what's your billing information, you are missing such an incredible opportunity for a variety of things. So your intake is your very first interaction with your company. The consumer, your end user, it's their very first interaction. And so it should be efficient, easy, and really your intake should be a workhorse for you. It should be able to interact on several different platforms, and the interaction should be a tool, with multiple uses.
So the intake then would be a really important start to building that relationship and figuring out what the client needs of your services.
I didn't realize that intake was that important.
Well, it is for a variety of reasons. So when you start your intake process, here's something here. Do you get all of the pertinent information as well as information to create a customer experience that builds long-lasting relationships? Are you getting that kind of information? So what does that look like, right? Well, name, address, cell phone, birth date, hobbies, favorite restaurant or food, best way to communicate. Now that's key.
Now wait a minute. The best way of communicating, you have to know Spanish and English too?
Best way to communicate. Text messaging.
Oh, text messaging.
Email.
Email.
Cell phone.
Telephone, actual calling up and talking to a person.
What's the best time? What day is better maybe than others? We forget about this, but everybody has a very busy life. Some people prefer to be, I know it might sound weird, but their mode of immediate communication with you is through Facebook Messenger.
Very true.
And you have clients that prefer that.
Absolutely, yes.
And we've talked about that.
Yes, we have.
Finding out, how do I reach you? And that's just the beginning.
No, but you also said something about hobbies and their favorite restaurants and stuff like that. Why would you need that information?
This is the fun part. Because as a business, we're wanting to create a relationship. And so if you want to do something nice, and let's say, where's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite is up in Seattle. Chandler's up in Seattle.
Okay, that they're closing September 30th. 2018. I'm still whining about that. But
I've noticed.
I've only mentioned that a few times. We will be heading up there for one last num-num before that's it. Let's say if I wanted to reach out and say, thank you so much. I really appreciate your business. I really appreciate you supporting my company. A $100 gift card to, let's say, CI Shenanigans or a $100 gift card to Chandler's.
Well, Chandler's, of course.
Okay, and so we got that information off the intake. So you always want to be the one that pays extra close attention to your customer. So that has a much bigger and much farther reach. Wow, how did he know that was my favorite restaurant? A lot of times people forget that they've even filled out that information. And it's very simple and easy while they're in the information giving process to just go ahead and put that out there.
Well, then I guess it would be a good thing maybe to ask what their favorite cookie is or their favorite candy is.
Absolutely.
And be able to supply that while they're there.
Absolutely. You have to think about how your company is going to reward, let's say, a loyalty program or something along those lines. We just had our client appreciation event, and so we had sent out an information, a questionnaire asking people for what was their favorite cake, and we had several people that came back and said, "How did you know that I liked this type of cake?" Of course, we had cupcakes, but
the flavor of the cupcake.
That's right.
How did you know?
How did we know that? Well, the fact is that we sent out a questionnaire
and
we asked and they answered, and we made sure that we went to multiple bakeries to fulfill all the cupcakes and the specifics. But that part we wanted to share with our clients at how much we love them, we like them, and we're paying attention to them.
We're pampering them.
Absolutely, and you should. They're funding your dream.
They're a part of your actual goals of what you want to do to succeed in your business.
Yes.
And you get all that through your intake.
You can, if it's done right. Here's another one. Does it empower add-on sales?
Well, absolutely. Because now they've got a relationship with you.
Well,
they know that you are working with them.
Well, but by asking the right questions, Bill, that's where you get that information.
Okay, so that means when I go to Sonic from now on, I should go to the window instead of the little machine and push the button. Because they're not getting the right information on my burger.
Okay, I've never had that problem, but then again, we don't go to Sonic.
Well, I just thought I'd bring it up for our listeners.
So what does that actually look like? So does it empower add-on sales? So what do they use? Here are some questions that you can ask. What do they use now? Have they ever considered if they had a choice, what would that be? You're always looking. You should be able to go back to this intake form anywhere from 3 to 7 years out and still be pulling information on how to fine-tune your efforts with them. Here's something else. Are you gathering marketing information for campaigns like customer loyalty programs, newsletters, events? You're going to be running these different campaigns on a newsletter, right? What information, maybe on the intake, what information would they like to see? What do they have? We're going to go back. What do they have now? And you can present different trends on what they're already telling you that they have, or the experience that they've had with other, systems or services. So you're able to really speak to the company's brilliance by highlighting those types of things. So here's another thing. How will you present your intake? Is it on paper or is it electronic? How are you going to keep these files? And that's something else to throw out there that's considered. How about this? What elements should be in the intake process? So should there be a contract? Payment schedule? What's your expectations as a company? Now, this can be done. That's when you present a packet.
To the actual client.
You bet. Because what you're doing is that you're actually telling them what to expect from you and what the company should be expecting from them. So, prime example with a contract. I do this, you give me this, all right? Kumbaya. Yeah. Everybody's happy.
Gotta be happy.
So if you execute it properly, that intake is really pivotal in your first interaction with that client. And, here's the bottom line. Okay. The intake process is the introduction to how you do business. So you're setting your client expectations and laying the foundation for your client's journey or their experience with you. What you do with the information, though, is on you. How many intakes are sitting there that have never been used? It was just, let's use an example. I was at a spa and we were going over, they've been in a spa for, 26 years. And
they were running the spa.
They were running the spa.
Not in the spa.
Yeah, they were,
Because,
but I was in a spa.
26 years in a spa with somebody giving you a massage, you're going to come out of there just like a noodle.
Actually, that wouldn't be bad for you, Bill.
Yeah, maybe Noodle Express.
Oh, okay.
But whenever you're going back through and you're pulling all this information, you have multiple services. And by asking them, have you ever received or do you enjoy facials? They're here for a massage, but do they enjoy facials?
Oh, yes. I love
Chris loves facials. Matter of fact, he has a facial scheduled next week. So,
Oh, wonderful. They're going to do something with all those scars and everything?
Absolutely.
Oh, this is just
That's what makes it
exciting.
pretty.
Oh, that's what makes
I think you need a facial.
I need a face.
He
Would work.
needs a, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Maybe a facelift. But getting back to business. One of the things is that you could actually specifically send coupons, right, to that client that says, yes, they love facials. But they're only here today for a massage. Maybe you could do a bundle for them. That's another way to be able to use marketing. How many, are you utilizing and really getting every crumb out of your process to make a client experience phenomenal?
And that's the answer to the question, making it phenomenal for them.
Absolutely.
And I think it also brings a togetherness between you and the client, because now they're thinking, she wants me or he wants me to expand, to grow. You've really become now a tool for them through that intake, and they feel a whole different relationship than if somebody just goes in and, hello, Mr. Jones, okay, I'll fill out your application, have a nice day type situation. This is very valuable in business because it's going to keep your name in their minds all the time. And if somebody says, oh, I've got a business, I got such a problem with it, I don't know what to do, bango, wild child. Simple as 1, 2, 3, because they trust you, clarity and honesty is right there, and they know that you're part of the family.
Exactly. Yes. It's a friendship maker. And really what you're doing is you're building a friendship between the two businesses, so that when the need arises, they remember friends.
Absolutely.
They remember that, hey, you know what? They really consider what I want and what I need, even in my personal life. When it comes to having to cut something, it's harder to cut out a friendship than it is to cut out a business relationship.
Absolutely.
Well, let's look at it like this. Your intake starts the conversation.
Builds the foundation.
Absolutely.
It introduces your client to what you can do for them and how you can work and build their campaigns and content and social media.
Yeah, going back to the spa, let's say that they have, they experience, more tightness in their neck and shoulders. You could easily put on their file so whenever they've come in that they need a heated neck wrap.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that right there, they didn't have to say, hey, excuse me, Bill, could you go get me a heated neck wrap? That's presented to them, and they're like, oh, yeah, I am. I'm always tight in my neck and shoulders. Thank you. I mean, it's those little things. It's the details that don't take any extra time, because that's one of the very first complaints that we'll hear. Oh, my gosh, it's going to take us hours. No.
It's just boom.
You're just being more strategic and more intentional with that client.
Very interesting. Well, we're running out of time, but it's exciting to be able to hear how we can build business and how we can take different aspects of business, such as the tools, as the intake, and really build a successful business out of it.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap it up today, Candace, who naturally, and I don't want to go through this again, but I will because the producer's here and he's writing the
Why don't we
checks.
give the producer the last word?
You're going to give up the last word spot to the
Well,
producer.
I've been talking most of the show, so absolutely.
Well, I don't know what to say about that, other than I find it really interesting that something as the intake form is going to give us as much as you say it does, because really you don't really